Okay, so for this example, I will show you a live data. So just assuming that you have already created all those types of exams in your question bank, we're going to learn how to create an exam out of those questions that you have created earlier. So I'm just calling this section sample, but you can call it any way you can. Like you can call it midterm exam or prelim exam or final examination or maybe a unit test. And then you're going to start creating a learning activity. Now in this case, you're going to type in quiz. So whether it is a major exam or a short exam, we all call it a quiz inside your LMS or CMS. So add a new quiz, and then let's say you're going to call it final exam. So you can do this for any type of exam, whether it is just a 5-point quiz or 60 items or 100 items or more. So for the meantime, as what I have mentioned earlier, when you start creating an exam, and so that it will not be readily available to the student immediately, you have to change or set the visibility to hide from students. And then here you're going to set up when this exam will be available. So let's just say you can type in here, you can just add that one later, but normally I would put some quotes, just to remind them about honesty and integrity. And then in here you can set whether it will be hidden from students or make available. So as mentioned, we only make it available once the exam is already completed and already set up. So the timing is when the exam will be available. So you can enable this. Like say for example, if you say that your exam will be available on November 7, starting from, let's say, 1 p.m. So that would be 1300 hours, year 2022. Alright, and you can close the quiz, say 24 hours after. So if you see 24 hours after, that would be November 8, and then that would be 12:59. Right, so it's really up to you when you want to open the quiz, whether it will only be open within the duration of your virtual classes, say for example between 1 to 2:30 or 8 to 10 in the morning. So that will give them or your students a window of only 2 hours to take the exam. So in this case here, we're giving them a window of 1 hour, in 1 day, that's 24 hours. So it will be available from November 7 at 1 p.m. and it will close at 8 p.m. So that means to say it will no longer be accessible to the students once you have closed the quiz. So the timing or the date of and time of opening the quiz should be earlier than closing the quiz. Now this is the time limit. So for instance, if you're only giving say for example a 50-item quiz, and let's say you're only giving them 30 seconds to answer each individual questions, then you could say that the time limit would only be so if it's a 60-item quiz at 30 seconds each question, that will only be for 30 minutes. So you can enable that. So disabling this means that your students may have the entire 24 hours, if you open it for 24 hours, to start and finish the test. So that will give them enough time to look online and maybe do some more computations. So it's really up to you. Now, so in the case of limiting cheating, and also because in most cases we not only check the knowledge of the students but also how quick they are able to generate the answers. So we set the time limit, and this could be in minutes, weeks, days, hours, seconds, depending really on the type of exam and the number of quizzes or items that you're going to give for that exam. Now, so when the time expires, so say for example, even though the students have 1 day or 24 hours to take the exam, they only have 30 minutes. So once they start the exam, only 30 minutes is given. And what will happen after the 30 minutes has lapsed? So this one is your setting that you're going to work on that for. So when the time expires, open attempts are submitted automatically. So for example, if you have a 60 items quiz and say they're still at question number 58, so that means to say that since the time has already elapsed, so 30 minutes has passed, automatically all 58 answers will be submitted, and they won't have time to make any more edits after that. Now, there's also another setting. There is a grace period when open attempts can be submitted, but no more questions are answered or can be answered. Attempts must be submitted before time expires or they are not counted. So this is depending on how you want the quiz to be managed. So normally I would just set it at open attempts are submitted automatically, but that's me. You might have a different setting. Now then you have if you are using the one with the grace period, you could also set the number of days or minutes or seconds or hours when they have a grace period to still go over the previous answers before actually submitting them. Alright, and that is not available if you're choosing the two other options. Now here is the grading option. So you could this one is for the advanced users, so let's not touch that. The grade to pass is only for the students to be informed whether they have passed or not. Now this one is the number of attempts allowed. So say for example, you're giving a quiz wherein you're simply checking if they are able to understand or comprehend or not. So let's say you want to give them a chance 3 times. If they're not able to reach the minimum score required, so you can set this to attempts allowed is 3. But in a normal circumstances, if it is a major exam and you only want them to take and submit 1 time, then the attempts allowed should only be 1. The layout is also new page for every question or every 10 questions. So these are the number of questions that will be shown on the screen for the students for every page. And then you have your navigation method, which could be free or sequential, and you have your question behavior, which is shuffled or and how the questions behave, whether it is adaptive or deferred. So usually I set the shuffle within questions to yes, so that even if they are sitting next to each other, they will not have the same sequence of questions. And say for example, I will also discuss later that if you have 50 questions in your question bank and you only randomize 10, that means to say that there are a lot of chances that they will not have the same exams. And then you have the review option. So what will happen once the students take the exam, or once the students are have completely taken the exam? So what will happen? Will it show the marks, or will it show feedback on whether it is correct or not? Will it is it only after the attempt, or is it while the quiz is still open? Each time they click an answer, it will immediately show the feedback. And what will happen after the quiz is closed? Does it show whether each of the items is correct or not? Will it show the feedback if you have typed in any feedback, or will it only display the overall feedback, or the right answer, or only the overall feedback or the overall score? Now, so you also have your appearance of the user's picture, the number of decimal places in the grades, the decimal places in question grades. So these are additional details that you might want to add. Say for example, browser, if you have this option, is the students will not be able to open any browser, but that depends on whether you are subscribed to that or not, your school is subscribed or not. And then you have passwords to open, but that is no longer really necessary, only for specific instance when you don't have control over the students that you have in your class. And then of course the grade boundary, outcomes. So basically the very important parts of setting up the exam is up there. No, so for me, I would only specify the timing, all right, and then the number of attempts, and then the layout, so the number of questions per page, and then whether it is shuffled or not, and then the review options. So that's basically what you need to do. And so once you're done with this, you can type in here other instructions as well. Let's do that later, and then just select save and return to course.